As I said at the beginning of the service, that today is the day of preparation. Jesus stayed at Bethany. There, a woman anointed Jesus. Now, before we go to that, let's look at the first two verses of Mark chapter 14. What we see is that the chief priests and the scribes were looking for a way to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. What does that mean? They have been already planning to kill Jesus. They were only waiting for an opportune time. They know that this is not the right time. They thought that if we do kill him now, that will disturb the entire Passover festival. So let's not do it now. That's the stealth. That means secretly they wanted to do it. Now, but you would notice that Jesus was killed before the festival, which is very, very interesting. The Passover meal was celebrated, and the next day he was killed. So during this Passover festival, Jesus was killed on the cross. They did not want to kill Jesus during this time, but Jesus was crucified during this festival time. They planned to do it in a different time, but this happened during the festival. Man plans. He thinks that he is in control. The Pharisees, the scribes, the chief priests, they thought that everything is perfectly in their control, but nothing is in their control. According to God's plan, Jesus died during the Passover meal, Passover festival. Why? God is communicating to us. He is communicating to us that whenever you celebrate Passover, you have to remember Jesus' crucifixion. Both has got connections. The Israelites who were under slavery were saved through a Passover meal. They were saved by applying or pasting blood on their doorpost. The blood of the lamb saved them. Now a new covenant is established. Jesus shed his blood for all of us once for all, through which we are all saved. How God saved Israelites in the Old Testament, the same God now acted at the same time of celebrating Passover so that the message can be easily passed on to us. Chief priests and scribes wanted to kill Jesus later at a different time, but God's plan ultimately prevailed, and he was killed during Passover meal, Passover festival. I'm sorry. Now, we need to know that God is always communicating to us. This is what I have been telling in the past 2 days. He finds ways and means to communicate the salvation plan of Jesus to us, salvation work of Jesus to us. One of the things that we did not meditate on the day of a demonstration, which is Palm Sunday, is this, that Jesus wept over Jerusalem city. As he drew closer to Jerusalem, he wept over Jerusalem. He wept and said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets. and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather together as hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. Jesus wept over Jerusalem. Why? Because Jerusalem is always rejecting God. And Jesus also prophesied that Jerusalem is going to be totally destroyed. And it happened in AD 70. Though it is meant for destruction because of their sins, because of their rejection of God, God is still communicating to them. He is not giving up. He is trying to communicate his message till the last moment. Yes, God is talking to us through various means. He is not hidden. As the sun is non-stoppable in giving light, God is non-stoppable communicating to us. He is communicating. Through the death on the cross, Jesus communicates to us. People planned something else, but his death took place during Passover festival. Now, he is in Bethany on Holy Wednesday. He was, according to Mark, he was at Simon the leper's house. Probably this is a person whom Jesus healed, cleansed. He was a leper and Jesus healed. But who is this? Other gospel writers are not talking about him. But Mark is also not saying that Mary is the one who anointed Jesus' feet. But if you read John, you would clearly see that Mary anointed Jesus. I assume Mary is the daughter of Simon the leper, whom Jesus healed. I assume Mary's sister Martha, Mary's brother Lazarus are all the children of Simon the leper. Of course, we really do not know whether that is the case, but we assume so. Now, Jesus was there at Bethany, and Mary broke open the alabaster jar, and anointed Jesus. When she broke open the alabaster jar, it gave fragrance, and she anointed. When you have perfume, which is very costly, what do? Every day you take, my son tells me that you cannot use perfume more than 2 times. You have to press only 1 time, he says. One side 1 time, the other side 1 time. You cannot press more than 1 time. I don't know, that is his philosophy. But when you have a costly perfume, you do it sparingly. You don't use it generously. And look at this lady, Mary, cut open it, finished it off once for all. Now, it's a very costly perfume. It's not an ordinary perfume, 10 dirham perfume. 300 denarii, that means 1 year's salary is gone within no time. 1 year's salary is gone within no time. Costly perfume. She broke open. People say that such perfume cannot be kept under a lid. It has to be broke open. It has to be break open. But I don't know about that. But she wanted to give the full perfume to the Lord. Why? The entire house was filled with fragrance. Why she did it? Because for her, Jesus is pearl. very costly, very precious, and she is going to go for him. For her, Jesus is the hidden treasure that she cannot afford to miss it. Jesus is very important to her. She is willing to give anything and everything to him. Whatever is the costliest, whatever is precious in my life, that should go to Jesus. That's what she did it. Jesus is very, very precious to her. In fact, people were complaining. People were complaining. We will come to that later. I remember Jim Elliot's statement, which is a very important statement. I'll read that statement. Jim Elliot was an American missionary. At a prime age, he was killed. In his first visit to Aka, a tribe in Ecuador, he was killed. A very young man in 1956, he was killed. A fresh college graduate, very, very brilliant. With him, 2 other missionaries were killed. They were landing to this tribe, and they killed all 3 missionaries. You can read their life history, Jim Elliot's life history, which is very challenging. He said something which is very, very important. What he said is that he is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. What he said is this: we cannot keep our life. And what is the point to keep our life? Lose it for God. And what he gives, nobody can take it from you. What a brilliant quote. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain that he cannot lose. The life that I have, I cannot keep it. It will go. Give it to the Lord. And whatever he gives you, no one can take from you. Brilliant quote. The entire house was filled with fragrance. Such kind of a commitment, such kind of a love for the Lord gives fragrance. My favorite missionary is David Livingstone. He was a doctor from Scotland. He had a prime life, but he left everything to go to Africa to bring the gospel to the people of Africa. It was in 19th century. Until his visit, the country was known as Dark Continent. He is the one who brought light. He is the one who brought about the details of the continent to the whole world. He was an explorer, a missionary, a doctor. Hardly he stayed in Scotland. Many times he got ill, but he still stayed in Africa, and there he died while he was praying on his knees. His life is giving fragrance to the whole world. When your life is spent on Jesus, that gives fragrance. When she wasted, that's what they thought, she wasted this. No, Jesus says, no, she has never wasted this. Let me read. Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has performed a good service for me. For you always have the poor with you, and you can allow kindness to them whenever you wish, but you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body for its burial. She prepared Jesus for his death. The best she gave to Jesus. Now, Judas Iscariot is disturbed by the whole thing. The chief priests, the scribes are planning to kill Jesus. This particular incident gave him a kind of a boost to go and betray Jesus. He was one of them who was angry that this much is wasted. 1 year's salary is gone in a wind, in no time. He was so angry, and he went. The moment he went there to meet with the chief priests and the scribes, a new direction took place in their plan to kill Jesus. They were waiting for an opportune time. He went in, and they thought, okay, now we know how to catch Jesus. Until that time, they were still plotting and thinking and planning, and this guy got in, and now a new direction took place, and within no time, Jesus was caught and was crucified. Now they were worried about wasting the perfume. Is it because they were worried about the poor? That's what they said. This, we could have fed this many 1,000 people. Were they truly worried about taking care of the poor? If they were truly worried about taking care of the poor, there are numerous ways to do it. If you look at Judas Iscariot, according to John, he was the treasurer of Jesus' group, and he was helping himself from the money that he was keeping himself. He was helping, he was taking money to himself. And he is now worried that, look, 300 denarii, if it was given to me, I would have made some money. Now that is gone. Anyway, Jesus is going to be caught. Anyway, Jesus is going to be killed. Why don't I make some more money out of him? So he went and betrayed Jesus. Anyway, in no time he is going to be killed. He knew what is happening. If he did not know that Jesus, they were not, if he did not know about their plot, he would have not gone to them. Since he knew that they were plotting to kill Jesus, he went and surrendered himself. A foolish man. A foolish man. Wanted to make money. Now let's compare Mary with 300 denarii. And let's look at Judas with 30 silver coins, which is less than 4 weeks' salary, okay, less than a month's salary. What we see is that Judas is wanting to benefit out of Jesus. He wanted to be the consumer of Jesus' life. What benefit I will get? Look at Mary. She wanted to participate in Jesus' life. What can I do to be part of him? He's going to be killed. I don't know whether she knew about what is going to happen in 2 days, but she wanted to be participating. Are you the consumer of Jesus' life, or are you the participant of Jesus' life? According to Judas Iscariot, I care less what is happening to Jesus. No, I'm not interested in what is happening in his life. But for Mary, I care fully what is happening to him. She was the one who came back on the resurrection day to see Jesus, to anoint Jesus' body. I care more about Lord Jesus. You know, we have Christians who are on the periphery, who are on the outer circle. Are you in the outer circle, or are you in the core, in the middle? As we conclude, I want to read these words, two verses which Jesus himself said, Matthew chapter 13, verses 44 to 45. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. He knows the value of the hidden treasure, so he buys it. Jesus is the hidden treasure. Anything that you spend is worth for it. Again, another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Jesus is the pearl. All that you have is nothing in front of that pearl. May the dear Lord help us so that we are like Mary, participating in the life of Jesus. God bless us all. Amen.